And the Social Security program is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the entire world, and it's running out of money. And then that's why he brought up like, hey, just raise the retirement age because
you're collecting on Social Security. Again, with what I just stated, the cost of living increasing and the cost of compensation like not going up. It's becoming more incumbent on someone to continue work. Like you're gonna have to.
Yo, B, let's go. You may have seen the clip and maybe heard word of mouth, yet another podcast. Man, what could it be about? Is it truth or opinion? A couple of contradictions. We're here to challenge tradition and twist your vision. So we set on a mission to bring you rebel wisdom.
Welcome back, everybody. We got another episode of Rebel Wisdom. We're excited this week. We're going to be talking about retirement. So we'll start by defining, as we typically like to do, what we think or how we define retirement. For me, it's quite simply the age at which one stops working. A little further than that is when you stop working, but you're able to collect a pension or receive Social Security. And for me, it's pretty much as simple as that. You got anything in additional?
Yeah, with the pension and Social Security, I think that should be just a additional source of income, not necessarily your only source of income if you do it right. So I personally wouldn't tie retirement into a pension or Social Security because that's going to define some age related factors like Social Security 62 to 67, pension you're going to at least be 20 years into 20 something years. Yep. 20 years or above. So
good point.
Yeah.
So I think those usually go hand in hand with retirement, but when defining retirement, I don't think it's implicit in the definition. Okay, good point. So with that, do we just want to define retirement as the age of which one stops? I feel like it's more nuanced than that.
The point at which someone when they stop working.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I feel like there has to be some threshold tied to it, because if I get a job at McDonald's tomorrow and a month and a half from now, I'm like, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm going to stop working at McDonald's. Did I retire from McDonald's? I would say no. You know what I mean? That's why it's...
Okay.
So what's the age out...
When they necessarily don't have to work anymore?
Okay. When someone stops working, when they're, I won't say financially independent, but maybe.
Because some people retire broke, though. Some people even can't. Yeah. Shoot, this is a lot harder than...
Yeah, this is good. This is good.
All right, you want me to just read the Google definition?
Let's do it. I'm gonna think kind of while.
All right, the action or fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. That's it.
The action of leave. Okay, that's good. So like the McDonald's thing, I think when using that definition, what stops that is because like if I go to work at McDonald's today, like I said, in a month and a half from now, I stop working at McDonald's, I'm going to get another job. Mm-hmm. That's why. So I'm not retiring. Mm-mm. And I don't think it goes per business. Like I can't say I'm retiring from McDonald's. Retirement is your work in general. Like you're stopping like all work. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that kind of works. The age or the time, maybe not age, the point at which an individual stops working.
Yes.
Retirement. All right.
And don't have to work.
Don't have to work. Yes. But see, okay, is it stops working or doesn't have to work? Because you can stop working and you should keep working, but you just choose to stop working. I think that's still retirement. Whether you need to work or not, if you choose to stop working, no, because with the intent, you stop working with the intent to not work again. You know, some people get out of college. Well, no, like you work a job in college. You got out of college. You're like, hey, I'm going to take a couple years off. I'm not going to be working because I'm doing.
It's a couple years off. You have the intent to continue working
that's
after.
My point. That's my point.
Yeah, okay.
So I think, redefining the definition. Retirement is the point at which someone ceases to work, stops working with the intention of no longer working.
All right, there you go.
Beautiful. All right, we're making good progress here.
4 minutes in, and we covered retirement.
That's good. You gotta dig into it. Nice. Okay, that's good stuff. All right, so we got retirement. So with that, we'll say, right, typically, or what I've seen, heard, read, people are retiring in the low to mid 60s. That's like the traditional retirement age. And we spoke on before previously kind of about FIRE and how just financial independence and retire early. How it's a budding concept and pretty actually well talked about now, and people are aiming to retire early. But then again, we rebel that and saying like, hey, you're retiring, from maybe your career job or whatever, but you can continue to work. So I guess again, with the definition that we just gave, that technically wouldn't be retiring. So that's great. That's awesome. So there's some rebel wisdom in that. So now we're looking at, hey, is 60, 62, 65, like, is this the age that people should be retiring? And I think we can talk about some things that we've come to learn that it might be beneficial to continue to work. So when we look at this standard retirement age, what are you thinking? Do you think it's good age? Do you think, hey, we need to bring retirement up? Like, the fact that people are being, the narrative is to work this long, that's crazy. Or we should push retirement back a little bit. And there's some reasons why people standardly, right, because you can retire whenever, could be working a little longer. And what drives that push?
So when I think of retirement, like a couple numbers come up. One is 59 and a half, which defines when you can start taking out your retirement accounts, individual retirement accounts, or a 401k contribution and the money that you grew in your 401k.
Right.
So that's one. And 62 is when you can start collecting Social Security at this point in 20. And 67, which is the later. Or the second number of Social Security, when you have to, or I don't know if it's have to, I'm sure, but the later point you can start collecting Social Security with the maximum monthly payments. That's what I'm thinking. Those are numbers that I think about. And so this whole topic came up basically with the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink.
Good, yeah.
He talks about, I think it was in an earnings report or something. He talks about Social Security, and the notion described in the article is that retirement age is 65 as of right now. So we can just say 65.
Cool.
And with the current Social Security program, you're honestly not getting much. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that Social Security is not enough to comfortably live on, but it might be enough to do the bare minimum. And even if that, it might be tough for someone. He's saying that because of everything he's seeing, Social Security, or rather retirement, should be pushed back later in life. And I don't know if he gives an actual number, but how I read it, it should be in the later, like the high 60s or the low 70s.
Yes. I thought I saw 67 to 68 in there somewhere, but yes, concur with that for sure.
Yeah, and then this article, or just him speaking on it, just kind of made a lot of people angry. But I'm reading it, and to me, it makes sense. So what he also talks about is this idea of retirement, which is new in terms of human society history. A lot of people back in the day, they just worked until they died.
Yeah.
And is that the right answer? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just how it was. And obviously, as society grows and prospers, we can allow for things to, get better. And I think being able to retire at a certain age to live how you desire after, it makes sense. I get it. It's definitely a good thing. But the fact is, as a government, they're not the best at managing money. That's an obvious. Everyone knows that.
Sure.
And the Social Security program is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the entire world, and it's running out of money. And then that's why he brought up, like, hey, just raise the retirement age, because when I might be missing the exact numbers, but it's close. When retirement, the age 65 or whatever, when it was first brought up as a concept of retirement age, I believe that was in the 1800s or 1900s, like a very early, more than 100 years back.
Okay.
And obviously, going on going on the topic of as society prospers, better things happen. People are living much longer now than back in 1800s or the early 1900s. And I want to say the life expectancy back then, when 65 was the retirement age, that decision was made, I believe it was 72. That was the average life expectancy, which means that from 65 to 72 on average, it'll carry you through, which is 7 years. But now people are living easily into the high 70s, 80s, and even 90s. Very few make it to 100, but some people do, right?
Right.
So now they're collecting on 10, 20, even 30 years of Social Security, and it just
crippling the system.
It can't keep up. And with that, let's look up the average life expectancy.
I think I want to say 80 something, but that would be a good one to look up.
Okay, right now the life expectancy at birth increased to 77.5 years. So we can go conservative and say 77.
We'll say 77.
That's 5 years. That's 5 years later than what it was originally proposed at. So naturally thinking, as life expectancy moves 5 years up, but not up, down later in life.
It moves up in age.
It moves up in age.
Yeah.
Retirement age, it makes sense that it could go up to 70, mathematically and just logically.
Okay.
And people get mad because, like, dude, like, oh, I work so much, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it sounds harsh, and I'm sure people are going to get mad, but it sounds like it's entitlement. No one, you were taught to believe that you were entitled to retirement at age X, whatever. Sure. Where that's just a concept taught in society, not a truth in nature. You look at less civilized species, they don't have retirement.
Well, in our system, right, because those other species don't have a system, I think you are told, like, if you do, it's like, if you do this, then you will get this. Like, if you work these amount of years, then you will get Social Security at this age or upon retirement, etc. So, I mean, there is an element of work, I think, as we stated in a previous podcast as well. But I think you will, if you're not just plainly like existing, taking up space, but people work. If you are working and you fulfill the requirements, then you are, I guess, essentially entitled to Social Security, right? Like,
sure, that's a promise. That's like a pseudo promise made by the government.
Yeah, right. It's not innate in being born, but like made by the government.
But as a society, or not a society, but as a country, does it make sense to keep fulfilling the promise regardless of whatever happens, or try to adjust policies so that this program, it makes sense? The program that makes sense can, at least sustain itself, or even have excess of money, which can provide for much more.
Right.
And right now, it's deficient. Yes. It's going down year by year,
which does mean something needs to change.
Something needs to change, and people are living longer. So the easy options I'm thinking about is either increase retirement age, boohoo, super bad thing, criminal, or raise Social Security tax. Oh, same thing. Again, it's just gonna it's gonna also get the same amount of backlash. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, blah, blah, everyone's gonna hate it. Like we get we get taxed on every transaction right now. It's everything. Yes. You get taxed on the money from your job, and you get taxed on the money when you spend.
Yeah.
And then now we're trying to increase something, so that's gonna make the everyday working average Joe's life hard as well. Or another thing is you get more workers in the United States, so the Ponzi scheme bottom of the pyramid can supply more money for the top of the pyramid, and now you're gonna have to lose immigration policies, and that's gonna also cause a lot of policy. From a politician standpoint, it is very difficult. You
As
can't
it
please
usually
everyone.
is, right?
So I think the most logical thing out of all those is just to increase the retirement age, or the age that you start getting Social Security payment, maybe 5 years. I
Okay.
think 5 years would be a good thing.
So like you're saying, instead of like 62 to 67, push down that, so like 65 or 67 to what, 72, like something like slide
Sure,
that window
yeah.
5 years
Yep.
to the right. Interesting.
It might not be the long-term solution. It could be.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
But it'll definitely be some sort of short-term solution, or it could be a long-term. I don't know, but it is a solution,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it will help more than hurt the Social Security program.
Okay. So we talked about the Social Security program being deficient, and because of that, again, personally, I think something probably should change. But now, talking about all this, I'm thinking too. Also, people with the times, it seems like the cost of living is going up, but the cost
Mhm.
of compensation is not keeping up with the cost, the increased cost of living.
Mhm.
So now I'm thinking, like, how does manipulating the retirement plan change that? Manipulating the Social Security change that? Because with going back a little bit, if at the point in which you retire and you're so you're collecting on Social Security, again, with what I just stated, the cost of living increasing and the cost of compensation like not going up, it's becoming more incumbent on someone to continue work. Like, you're gonna have to, if you stop working from your career field or whatever your main job was, like, to keep up with all these things and collect Social Security, right? Like you were saying, it's probably not gonna be enough to just do that. So, and then the earlier you do that, again, earlier, when I say earlier, do that earlier, or whenever you collect Social Security, like, it's going to be difficult to just maintain on Social Security. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we push back Social Security, I guess for that point, maybe that could help that as well. Like, you're getting Social Security later, so you have to work longer, which in this economy, which is going to change over time, like, that's a given. Like, it might put you in a better position, strictly financially. There's so many other factors that come in play, for you to retire later, because again, Social Security alone is not going to, I don't think, is going to be very sustainable. That, with the assumption that you don't have a large nest egg or calculated savings or passive income, something on the side. So it's definitely a dynamic problem of how the trend prediction of how, like, society is changing or where we're trending to, and then how retirement / collecting on Social Security will supplement that. Do you think one could argue, because of the societal changes and the cost of living going up, like, Social Security should go up, like how much people can collect?
Social Security, it does go up every single year.
Yeah, right.
So payments
I
do
guess
go up,
right.
but it's like you said, inflation goes up by 4%. Social Security is not going up by 4%. It's
Yeah, it's
only going
not
up by 3
equivalent.
or 2 or something. So it's
Okay.
as time goes on, the ability to sustain a X life is going to be harder and harder.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk about this BlackRock CEO real quick again.
Yeah.
It was interesting because a lot of people said in the comments of the YouTube video I watched and the article, it's like, this BlackRock CEO is out of touch with reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he is, right? He's a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's not going to understand let's say a family, a husband and a wife living just solely on Social Security. I'm sure he's not going to understand that. But at the same time, they're talking so much crap about this guy. But he's 71. He is continuing to work as a 71. He's also, and he's saying, he's doing what he's preaching.
Okay.
And he's a freaking CEO of BlackRock. Like, he has so much responsibility, just it's gonna be a hard job to do. And the fact that he's saying it and doing it, to me, looks like there's a little bit of credibility that he has.
Okay.
Right now, but then because people on the other side complaining about this is the one that's trying to fully never work again after 62.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to the entitlement. Do they deserve it? Do they not? Maybe they do. But as a human, as just plainly as human, it most of the time it just doesn't make sense for you to just stop completely doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
The retirement, that's the social or the expected view. Like when you think about retirement,
Yeah.
what do you think about? Like chilling on the couch, watching TV,
just not working. Yeah, not working.
waiting for, maybe you do a little bit of gardening,
Mhm.
waiting for your kids or grandkids to visit you once a month or every Christmas.
Doing more of what you want to do and less of what you have to do.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. That's not, to me, that's not a fulfilling life anyway.
Okay. Right.
Who's gonna be happy just watching TV all day? That's just that's kind of sad.
Okay,
You know?
on to counter that, and I already even have some like possible responses, but for the sake of conversation. So, right, he's the CEO. Sounds very high responsibility, decisions need to be made, a very mentally taxing position, as I'm sure most CEO positions are. So what about somebody that works a more labor-intensive job that's far less sustainable once you get to, you said 71, once you get into your 70s or more elderly age?
I
Now,
mean, there's
other jobs, right? They could leave and go to, another field, another job, another gig, whatever. But I think that leaving and finding something else is a barrier. Like it's easier to continue what you've been doing, what you've poured into, what you've invested your true career, especially at an older age, than stopping something and starting something completely new. So I feel like it's a term for that, but that's almost a barrier in itself. Now, granted, can people do it? Yeah, absolutely.
But isn't that that's a cause and effect of the decision that you made as an individual?
Oh, for sure.
I think in today's society, we're looking so much on the government to, for you to rely on government, and you should.
Mm-hmm.
That's what government is there for. But with your example, is this guy that, to me, didn't sound like he really thought about it. Maybe he loved, I don't know. Maybe he really loved being a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
And he just did it for, I don't know, until he was 70.
Yeah.
And now he has to work longer. So that shows me many issues that he had. One is that he didn't plan financially enough to be able to completely retire.
Okay.
Even if you realize that, maybe he couldn't retire at some age, he should have definitely thought about going into a more of a cushier, physically less
sustainable
intensive
job earlier. So you're saying, okay, like have some foresight to be like, hey, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's
long term.
Like we keep saying he, but it could be anyone.
Yeah. Whoever.
He or she made a conscious decision to keep doing that, and then that's the outcome you get. And now we're gonna be mad at our government for the decisions that you made. It just doesn't.
Okay.
You're just trying to blame someone else for your own decisions. That's what we do. That's what we do today, and I don't like that.
Okay.
I think people should be responsible for their own actions. And for the people that didn't do what they should have done, these government programs exist because, like as a society, probably wouldn't be a good society to just leave people behind,
Yeah, probably not.
But that's the people that are complaining are the ones that they didn't make the right decisions.
Okay. I want to stay on the theme of retirement, but do you think ever, this is a very vague question. I will start by saying I agree with the fact that I think people there's a lack of taking responsibility for one's own actions or lifestyle, for sure. I can see that. Do you think that some people have less opportunity to take, I'm not going to say advantage of I'll just say that I'll summarize what I'm trying to say. I think it's harder for some to just maybe switch careers, even if that person, this plumber we used, had the foresight to switch careers earlier, predicting that, hey, being a plumber is not sustainable. I recognize I'm going to probably need to work because of the money I have now, and knowing I don't have a nice, nest egg, I'm going to need a little extra after retirement. I should probably switch my career field earlier to compensate, put myself in a position where something that has some more longevity for work, some more sustainable. But in thinking that maybe some people don't have, and again, these are all things you could find, but in trying to find, maybe they don't have the educational background, and maybe they don't have the educational background for X amount of reasons to go in these certain jobs that are more mental vice physical. And, I just feel like it keeps feeling back. I think there's a population of people that do blatantly like, oh, I'm going to get this pension. Like, I'm just going to do this blanket job till I get to that point, get that, and I'm going to be good. And that fail to plan, like you said. And I think there's another group of people that maybe have some, again, it's probably very nuanced and layered, but some hardship along the way, or not even hardship, but just the lack of resource, whatever it is that kind of, I don't want to say prevents them, because you always can find a way, but makes it extremely harder to make that change early on to have that sustainability.
Yeah, but again, that's you're bringing in external factors again to make blame with the resources. Yeah, like societal policies will be based on the averages. Because you can't. I mean,
right? Exactly.
You have to, right?
You can't get everybody.
With it being an average, some people are gonna naturally have it easier, and some people are gonna be naturally gonna have it harder. And it just the way it is, and with the resources and the background, like I could see that more being prevalent in the past. But honestly, in the past 20 years, and you can look up whatever you want, and you can get enough information to do things.
A lot.
So it's, again, you fail to do something, regardless of the resource situation. Yes, some people are gonna have it harder, but that's just life. Not everyone's gonna have average amount of. No one's. We always base everything on averages, but no one is average, right? Because you can't have a family of 2. Okay, you can have that, but then now they have 2.3 kids.
I was just about to say, right? They always say like the 2.2 or 2.3 kids. That's not.
So we can feel bad for the people that failed to do, take action or whatever. But how much do we compensate for that?
Right. Okay.
There has to be a limit. Like, we can't just keep giving and giving forever.
Especially with this deficit that we speak of. Okay, I'm gonna switch a bit. I think we can, which we kind of maybe already talked about some, but what if we dive into some of the benefits of shifting this retirement window? I don't know, what do we want to call it? Maybe the age at which you collect pension. So
Sure.
So the benefit. How about the benefits of working longer, and then the cons of working longer, and then we can explore maybe some of the alternatives of reforming retirement, other than just shifting the age or whatever. So what do you think? So I think one, and this one's on the forefront of my mind because you and I have talked about it quite a bit recently, and actually we've talked about it on a previous episode. The benefits of working longer. It's not even talking about retirement, just strictly just working longer. I think it has been scientifically proven that activity, both physical and brain activity, is medically beneficial. It will increase your lifespan. I'm reading a book right now called Outlive by Peter Attia, who most people know lifespan is typically defined as the length of time you live. But he introduces this thing called health span, which is the length of time you're healthy, which I think is super fascinating. And trying to maximize both simultaneously. Hey, let's increase the amount of time we live while increasing the amount of time we're healthy. Right? So you're not reaching 60 and then there's this slow decline in health where You live till 80, but you started becoming grossly unhealthy by 60. So those last 20 years are, majorly unproductive, and you're kind of just existing, right? It's a very morbid topic, but like, let's say if you live to 80, but you also maximize your health span, so you're healthy till 78. So like only you maximize that 18 years difference, or you're actually vibrant, you're productive, you're living, you're contributing. And then the last 2 years, the time of decline is very steep and abrupt. And I would assume that's what more people want than just kind of slowly withering away. So in that, working longer helps with not only the lifespan, but also the health span. There is proven scientifically backed. There are scientifically backed theories, and it's proven that the movement and being interactive, engaging with people, keeps your mind sharper and keeps your body in a more fit status than just sitting around on the couch chilling. Even like playing with your grandkids, like that helps. Just lifting items, that helps. Increasing this muscle mass, that muscle that keeps you sustainable, keeps your balance up. Like there's all kind of things that goes into. But maybe some people have a more sedentary job. Like right now, I'm pretty much at a computer all day. So even working in that context longer wouldn't help for that. But it certainly would help my mind. Like there's brain activity going. So I think one huge benefit of working longer, not even in the monetary sense, but I think it contributes to our lifespan and health span. That's one, I think, at face value, that alone is like, wow. And activity doesn't have to be defined by work. But if we're working longer, which is what we're talking about, that is a side benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I can think of. I don't know if you have anything else. I'm trying to think how working longer what's the benefit of working longer?
I mean, I think that's the main reason, and
I think that's a huge one.
It makes sense. Like, humans are meant to work. There's no it's how it is, and people are gonna get so mad about it, which is it. And they don't want to. A lot of people, I think, just not that they don't want to look at the facts or the reality. They probably know that it's true, but they're just trying to decline or deny it.
Okay.
But look at on the longevity side, right? Look at Japan, for example. People just end up working much later in life. And at least from
you mean like continue to work, not starting work later in life, but you mean there's like they work for a longer period of time in life, right?
And me living there for almost like 25 years, you never get introduced to, but the idea of retirement at this age, you just don't hear about as much. And Japan, everyone knows, is probably top 3 countries in the world with the longest lifespan.
Okay. Yes.
That's it's pretty easy to correlate there. And I don't know, like I think they just live frugally. Like my great grandma, who passed away 2 years ago, she just lived on Social Security. And I don't know how much they collect in Japan, but I'm guessing it's not going to be as much, right? But she always had enough to provide for the lifestyle that she lived. Yeah. And she always gave me money and a lot of people money for their birthday, which means that she was budgeting and so it's also the way people live too, I think. Yeah. Americans.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's a whole other topic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that, if I told Americans are probably the most entitled people in the world, me being included. I'm American too, but that's just how I see it. Okay.
All right. I want to define something you said. I want to define work. You're like, humans are meant to work. When I think work, always trying to boil these definitions down to the most pure form in simplistic manner. I think maybe there's different contexts. In this context, I think work is like contributing to society, pretty much, like in the simplest form. I'm sure there's something we can make that a little better definition, but
it would be nice to contribute to society. I don't think it necessarily has to for the definition of work. It's just giving one a responsibility to do something.
Okay. That'd be a responsibility.
People need purpose in their life. Like, for example, the retiree that their passion is gardening after they retire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sure. I mean, is it contributing to society? I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it has a positive effect and a negative effect.
So
But it's not. I
work.
mean, it's not that much, right? But then the fact that he or she can wake up every day to care for these
Yes.
plants and whatnot, that gives her a sense of purpose to live, which will probably elongate her longevity.
Yes. Purpose to live. That's ikigai, right?
Oh yeah, purpose to live. Yeah, ikigai.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is Japanese. Shout out to me for purpose to live. I'm trying to do a little something. But anyways, getting off topic. Okay, I like that. The responsibility piece I think is huge. So having a responsibility, taking action that has a responsibility. I don't know. I like the responsibility piece. Having a responsibility to care for something or carry out a task, maybe. Work. Okay. The reason I wanted to define that because I wanted to take it back a step further, and you said humans are made to work. I was like, that's a heavy, I don't want to say accusation, but I was like, because we have also talked about what we think, like, I guess that's what humans are made for is kind of synonymous with the purpose of life. Like, what is human purpose? And I think we both agreed on to recreate is one, and I guess to carry out our purpose is like a cop-out because, like, what's the purpose? So, because I think this all does tie into work and the necessity to work, and then which could lead to like, okay, what age do we think we should stop working? So what humans are made for, I definitely think to recreate and to work.
After you hit your essentials, I think it's going back to, I think it was like episode 3, pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
I think work does tie into a lot of pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, I mean, they probably freaking hate their jobs.
Yeah, from what I see, from my observation.
But at the same time, the alternate is probably more depressing.
Not working.
Or the extreme ends of it, like you absolutely hating your job to you not working at all whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be worse if you just didn't work. Period.
Okay.
You know,
I'll take it back. Yeah.
You're going to be struggling to live unless you have some other sources of, providing for you or having income. Okay.
Yeah. So I agree that I think work, in the sense of having a responsibility to carry out a task, care for something, could, like you said, tie into purpose of life. And if it's to recreate and, pursue your happiness, and in that pursuit of happiness, there's some element of work, then to your point, I think there needs to be a prioritization or emphasis put on work. And I can't remember if we talked about this before, but in this society, I think, and I don't want to detract from the overall topic too much, it's hard for me at least, to see is like, I think work is being less valued or undervalued than traditionally. But with that, as we also talked about, the structure of work, what work looks like is also changing. Like there's a lot of things that you can do now, as we previously said, that you couldn't do historically. And I'll say historically within the last 10 to 20 years. So I think maybe in all of this, right, Vice just pulling the retired age forward, keeping it or pushing it back, maybe there is work is important, or at least my personal opinion, work is definitely important. But could there be a system where you don't stop working? Maybe like a tiered system where, you work less, you work in increments less. So, you work, we'll say, you work 60% of your day up, and this is very, very arbitrary numbers I'm about to throw out. 60% of your day up until you're 60, and then you work 40% of your day, and then you work till you're 65, and then you work 25% of your day until you're 70, and the pay will adjust accordingly. But then that keeps people working longer. Maybe that does help the Social Security system to where they're not shelling out as much funds in this fashion that got us in this deficit. Now, again, we're just spitballing here, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think what are some other things that haven't been thought about or don't exist in our retirement system now, that could kind of tap into both helping people work and live longer, so they're working more, but also maybe not working to exhaustion into an elderly age. That kind of helps both the people and both this Social Security deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's like people are relying solely on Social Security.
Yeah,
It's whether it was meant to be that or not. It is just not how that works in today's age. And government realizes that. That's why they're trying to push for 401ks to basically be able to provide for yourself as well. Social Security should be a supplement to your retirement plan.
Okay.
But yeah, I think people confuse it as, that's how you live after. And I mean, if that was the case, then planning for retirement is not a thing then, right? Your plan for retirement is to quit working and collect Social Security. There's your 2-step plan.
Yeah.
That covers everything. But it's not like that. The fact that it's
where's
not
the actual plan? Yeah, the key is the planning. What do you plan?
You're right. So if Social Security is not the answer, then you should be doing other things. And Social Security should be just a cherry on top. Like, okay, like I'm getting an extra couple $1,000 a month.
I like that, the emphasis on planning for retirement.
But what you were saying, the tier system, that definitely works. Like,
just interesting concept.
Hopefully your current employer will be flexible enough to carry out.
Right.
Hey, like I know you're working 40 hours a week, and you're collecting, let's say, $80K. $80K is your salary, and you're working 40 hours. Like, hey, we don't mind you going 20 hours a week, but your pay is going to be $40,000 now.
Yes.
And then that's going to be a pretty big hit, but you're working less. It'll probably be easier on your body if your body requires, I don't know, physical labor.
Yes.
Whatever. And if that option to tier your work hours down, if that comes at an age where you can start collecting Social Security, then you're going to be losing some money on your salary, but then you're going to also gain some on your Social Security side. And even with the assumption that we push the age that you can collect Social Security, I think that'll carry out a lot of the way people collect their retirement pay.
Yes.
Even though you're not really retired yet.
Yeah.
Fully retired. Semi-retired.
Yeah. Still retirement pay, but under the definition, where you're not actually retired. You're working. Cool. Okay. So we talked about some benefits. What do you think are some cons to working longer?
I think with the physical side, you could injure yourself just easier. And
again, depending on what you do, a lot of this is work dependent. What we're saying,
yeah, right. So you can't. I mean, you just naturally cannot cover everything.
Yeah.
But then I'm looking at my boss's boss. I don't know his age, but he looks like he's like in his 60s or 70s. And I don't know. There's a lot of jobs, if you have a lot of experience, again, job related.
Yep.
Where you can go into the decision maker side, or even the teacher side. There's a lot of people that I got trained from. Their sole job is to train people at my company, and then they're much older because they have the experience, and then teaching is not physically intense. And yeah, like I don't really see too many cons besides the fact that people are gonna complain about it.
Okay. I got one. What about, so we talked about how working, whether physical or I guess just like cerebral, just from a mental perspective, it can be beneficial. But looking at that mental piece, right? I think from a brain activity and maximizing brain activity, literally just thinking about something specifically or having a purpose mentally helps. What about mental health? What about people getting in a mindset of just not wanting to work and having to, and purely, I've been at this job for so long, or just waking up, going to work, getting that routine, and it just, again, their mental health starts to decline. Do you think there could be, I think I could see that. I think And again, very dependent. If you like what you're doing, well, first off, that's a mute point. If you like what you're doing, you're probably going to keep doing it regardless. Like if you hit that retirement age and you genuinely like it, it's not going to matter. You're probably going to keep working. But for those people that, I want to keep working, but, so they keep working, but it's just mentally taxing on them, I think that could be a con. Because we said when you retire, you probably do more of what you want to do and less of what you have to do. And by virtue of doing what you want to do, it kind of fosters happiness. You're in a more relaxed state. But doing, you need to do it, and you want to keep working, but it comes with the cost of some mental health decline.
Yeah, mental health. When you say mental health, it just made me think of how hard you can endure things on your brain side, your feeling side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from an emotional standpoint.
Standpoint, right? I mean, you can train your mental health much better than you can train your physical health at an older age.
At an older age,
like you can be super physically fit for whatever age group you're in, but at some point it's gonna naturally decline to whatever.
Nothing you can do about it.
But mental side, sure, it's gonna decline. I'm sure it's been proven that your mental it does decline, but I don't think it's as much as physical health.
Okay.
And that's why generally the harder positions in society is held by older people. Because I mean, if you went with the concept that mental health declines with age, and then if we're comparing that, if we're looking at it similarly to physical health, then we should only have presidents at age 30 or 40. But it's not like that.
I think I want to redefine it, not mental, like emotional health. Like
emotional. I mean, you can train your emotional health though.
I mean, sure, yeah. I'm just saying, strictly speaking, a con of working longer, proposing things that could be cons of working longer. I think an emotional health decline could be one. That's all I'm saying. Like, there's a bunch of caveats. Just like physical health could be a con of working longer.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, what are things that could be cons of working longer is pretty much it. Like, one benefit of working longer that we didn't even say is just purely making more money. We talked about how, like, it could help, like, your physical life, but, like, that's another benefit of just working.
Pretty much comes down to it at the end of the day with the retirement and Social Security age and
just strictly make more money. Yeah, those are the only physical decline, mental/emotional decline.
Yeah, but I don't see, like, there's not too much. There's way more pros than cons in this situation, I think, to working longer.
Okay.
That's how I feel it.
That's why I wanted to list them so we could, like, get a good grasp of both sides and then compare.
Also, if you didn't plan and you're in a situation where you don't want to be in when you retire, you're just kind of putting the burden on someone else, whether that's the government or your kids or your grandkids.
Okay.
And I know for a fact that's not going to be a good feeling.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean,
there's no way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hear a lot of people say, they want to get to the point where they're not dependent on their kids to take care of them. And then I think that's a noble thing to do, because, like, you don't want, if you ask your kids to take care of you, it's gonna be a burden of some sort to the kids.
Yeah.
Financially or something. Time, right? Because they're also trying to live their life and trying to plan for their retirement. And so the fact that I'm not a parent yet, but the fact that I hear a lot of people say that they don't want to just depend on their kids at a later stage in life, just work longer.
Yeah.
You're not, like, we talked about retirement definition at the beginning of the episode, but you're not tied to a certain age when you have to retire. The government sets guidelines for, like, hey, these are the times where you should be retiring.
Okay.
But if you do really well, you work hard and work smart and invest smart and live smart.
Okay.
You could retire at age 30. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter.
Okay.
So it just all kind of goes back on the individual.
Yes.
It sounds harsh and people don't want to hear that, but that's how I think about it and how people should be thinking about it.
That's a lot to chew on. That's good. 2 thoughts. I'm trying to see how I want to. All right. And I'll go with this one. So a lot of what you just said, I think can be summarized, or a term that I just heard is purposeful aging, which is like exploring the idea of finding purpose and meaning later in life beyond the traditional notion of relaxation and leisure.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. And maybe, I could be wrong. A lot of this is just our opinions. Do you think people might just be working like without purpose? Because if you work with the idea of living beyond just like, hey, I want to get old and I want to relax, but you want to get old and we kind of define based on how we define work, you want to contribute to your local community in somehow, or contribute to your family, or pursue a passion, right? You're not just working and then not working and then just it's all relaxation. So I think to summarize what you just said, maybe in a more tangible way, is like, if you live with the idea of purposeful aging, I think this could maybe mitigate a lot of this and end up maybe benefiting our government at large, but also helping people wrestle with the idea of working longer, but not this crippling work that could lead to crippling in the sense of physical deterioration or this mental/emotional deterioration. If you have this purposeful aging, you're earlier, like an ideally early life or midlife, you're thinking, projecting out, okay, hey, how can I structure my life to where I don't have to rely on my kids, tax my kids, which I think that's very purposeful. Like, you want to maximize your kids' life, right? I'm not taxing on my kids. I am contributing to my community. I'm contributing to a job or a field or an area that I enjoy. How am I tapping into my passion? If we can maybe shift the mindset earlier, I think people could work longer. And it doesn't have to be your normal, like whatever your career field was, your career job, right? Work in the sense of taking responsibility for carrying or carrying out the task, right? Kind of like we said.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might, because you're right, a lot of what we do is just all mental. Like we always say, like money mindset, like it's all mental. If you can mentally cope with, and kind of like you said, that planning piece and develop this purposeful aging, I think now, like saying it out loud and really thinking through it, it could help people work longer, which maybe, I don't know, I'm not even saying this is what I think, but again, just postulating, maybe could push back we'll call it retirement age, even though, you might keep working. But again, in a fulfilling way, because I'm not saying just blanket keep working, because people also have different, again, we're speaking on averages, but people also have different motives. Like some people are cool with the bare minimum. Some people are like, look, I just want to get this retirement check. I just want to collect my pension. I just want to get this Social Security. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to travel. I'm not trying to live luxuriously. I just want to go sit outside on my porch every day, get some sunlight, maybe see my grandkids every now and then, you know what I mean? And maybe it's not the overwhelming majority, but yeah, I think kind of summarizes what you said and some things we've been talking about. I think a lot of it comes down to the earlier planning, like you said, taking responsibility for your life, planning earlier, and because people have different motives and end objectives, I think it's okay. I'm not saying like don't just rely on Social Security. If that fits the narrative of your life, by all means. Don't rely on Social Security and complain about it.
Maybe. Right. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
And
like,
yeah.
Yeah, because with the work thing too, we talked about how you're in a very fortunate group if your work and your purpose in your life aligns.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, overwhelming majority of the people, work and your purpose is different.
Yes.
And if you can at least realize that, work is there to, whatever you want to define work, that's work, right? For me is to basically funnel income to my passion.
Okay.
But if you don't have a passion in the first place, that could be hard where it seems like a lot of, I don't want to say majority, I don't know, but a lot of people, they just work their job, they come home and they don't do anything. TikTok, Netflix. That's not, you could call that a passion, but it's not really, something's missing there.
Mm.
So I think that makes work much more tolerable when you know that your work has a purpose,
Yeah.
or the purpose of your work is to support your purpose
Yeah.
in life.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Your work
So
itself may not be like purposeful, but you're working to support your purpose. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
as long as you can cover that side, working longer shouldn't be. I don't know. I say this now in my 20s.
Right. It's all it's all with a grain of salt.
And then we could be talking about the same topic 30 years, and we're like, dude, I don't know why we ever said like social security should be coming in at age 40.
Yeah. Hey, bro, don't
But-
worry. In 30 years, on episode 3, we'll double back to this and we'll do a part 2.
Well, dude, I guarantee. I mean, social security age is going to be pushed back
Mhm.
by then. Absolutely, there's just no way.
Right? Even if it's not pushed back, I will say it will definitely change in some way.
Yeah.
Which right now looks like maybe pushing back. Whether I agree with it or not, I do see, like you said, simply put, if people are living longer, which is the thing, people are living longer, and Social Security stays at the same age, like there is going to be an extended amount of time where people aren't working and just collecting Social Security. And that if we're not increasing the Social Security pool of money, like, yeah, something has to happen.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts? What are you gonna do? You're the president. You're the world leader, and you had all the say for one day to make all the decisions within the United States, and they said, "Hey, today's agenda is for you to decide on retirement."
Oh,
Mr. Global American Leader, what shall we do about this retirement issue?
Wow, we are in trouble if I am in that position right now. What? Not to minimize myself, but oof. I'm trying my best not to give a cop-out answer. I am not sold on moving. I'm not blankly sold on moving the retirement age just back. Just, hey, it was this age? We say retirement age. Where you collect Social Security, it was this age, now it's this age. I'm not sold on that. Not necessarily sold on just keeping it how it is. I don't have a great answer, but I would find some hybrid. The tier thing is the only thing I can think of now. I know there's got to be other ways, and I'm probably not well versed in what. I know I'm not well versed in what's in place now and all the nuances that go into that. But if I had to do something, I'm creating some system that either you get, I don't know, a percentage base or some hybrid system, and then maybe it works to, hey, the retirement age blankly is moving back after a certain point, or but I think the answer for me now, if it was now, is some hybrid plan, which again is somewhat of a cop-out answer, but I do think change needs to happen. I think anybody knows me well, I'm not the most politically savvy person, but
it would be cool to bring in politicians, or
wouldn't it, man?
just talk about
a
lot of issues.
I think yeah, I'm coming up with some hybrid plan. I don't know. That's my answer.
All right, new president says hybrid plan.
Hybrid plan.
We don't really know what that means, but that's where we're going with it. Hybrid plan.
Stand by. Yeah. That's what I don't know. Yeah, this is gonna be super interesting to see. I mean, I don't think a lot of change, but like as we get older, like what stances we take. I'm not gonna lie though. I think.
I mean,
naturally,
what people observe is the younger you are, you lean more Democratic, and as the older you get, you lean more Republican. So I don't know. We could be all for it. We're like, hey, push retirement back to 80.
Yeah, right.
If you ain't working, you're not doing nothing.
In conclusion, we got some of our ideas surrounding retirement, right? You heard it, kind of trying to define work, what work looks like in the context of retirement or approaching retirement, structuring your life for as you approach Social Security. I think we threw some good theories out there, definitely rebelled some wisdom today. In conclusion, is there anything you want to just kind of bring to the forefront, B, or highlight that we spoke about?
Whatever we do, I think it will be a better policy if we considered more personal responsibility towards retirement instead of
Mm.
relying on external factor or
Yeah.
other people.
I think that just I mean, I think personal responsibility is never a bad thing. I'll just say that.
Mm.
It's always it's a staple. Yeah, personal responsibility for sure. Okay, cool. Hey, y'all catch us in. They say catch us in 40 years. You know, see where me and B are at. It's gonna be interesting. Hey, we'll see how we feel about retirement there. But no, in a serious note, hopefully, you know, changes among us for both, and we definitely for both the benefit of the people and the government that governs us. So if you don't have anything to close, you good? Sweet. This is Rebel Wisdom. That's the take on retirement. Y'all have a great week. We're out.